What up, everyone? This is Mr. Lord, Dr. Professor, Dark Joker, here with another edition of Traditional Fans with Opinions, where I'll give my reviews for whoever I watched, read, or played today. And who are Traditional Fans with Opinions? That is myself, and that is you, the viewers. With all that being said, on with the reviews. Daemons of the Shadow Realm, episode 20. So in this episode, um, so um, So Yoru, Dara, left and right are fighting Ivan. Ivan's injured, but he's able to escape, and Dara daring to fight he basically shoots Yoru's shoulder, and then yeah, so then you have Ivan, he's able to escape, and he turns to his employer, like where he where he see like yeah, he sees you he sees Shingo, he's held to the ground by Azuma, and Ivan arrives, sees what's going on. um but then Ivan, he gets paid, he's doing everything for money. He kills Shingo and leaves, and comes across yeah comes across this one lady, who's like, I guess, is another like mercenary, user of Daemons. It's gonna be interesting to see how that all goes with her. So then Asa meets up with Yoru and Dara left and right. She gets pissed when she learns that that she gets pissed that Yoru got shot in the shoulder by Dara. And it's a pretty bad wound. Like, it's actually a pretty bad wound. But yeah, I thought it was a good episode. That was pretty good. I liked how like I like how they handle all the different fights. This fight. Obviously, the two hostages. So the fake Asa and the little girl. They're let out of Asa's like realm, or whatever. So they reunite with everyone. See, I thought it was a good episode. Interesting seeing like how they handle the rest of the season. Obviously, with what just happened with Ivan, you have obviously still the tensions with the Kagamoris and Higashi Village. See how that goes. But yeah, I thought it was a good episode. Looking forward to the next one. Mao, episode 21. So in this episode, so you have like this curse associated with like the Kagami clan. So Mao takes a kid named Soma to Soma Kagami to like to a clinic. Basically, like there's injuries, so, and like basically his brother Kazuma is like consumed by some beast. And like there was like a corpse that was like there was like a corpse that was found, and like basically believe that one and like so and like Kazuma had possessed, had cut off like the grandmother's head, and then you have like the some other siblings. Basically, Cosmo left them behind, and Soma, he sneaks away from the clinic. Um, And so basically, there's a lot of stuff going. So basically, there's something going on with, like with going so like with Soma, Kazuma. Definitely interesting. Like there's something like how like there's something weird going with Soma that like Nautica gets like a little creeped out. And there's something weird because like so someone knew that Kazuma was committing all these murders. He was kind of unfazed by it. Like he was just like whatever. And apparently he wanted the beast to be inside of him. Like he wanted like the scroll. So yeah. So and then yeah. So it's gonna be interesting what goes on. So yeah, it's like insane. Like and like oh dude, it's like weird. So basically, if the family passes down a curse, which is messed up anyway. I mean, come on. I mean, really, you're passing down a curse? Oh, that's weird. And like the so Cosmo is like a police officer and he's doing all these murders. So at least he knows how to. So it seems like he knows how to cover his tracks. He probably uses his police work to like help cover his tracks, like which definitely so you could work with as far as like a you know as far as like so like kind of like like Dexter or whatever. It's kind of so you could work with that, which that could be an interesting storyline. So yeah, new antagonist looks cool. Yeah. So yeah, what happened with the comic club? That was massive. Like those little kids just being left behind with the corpse. That's just sad. Like that's sad. So it's gonna be. We'll see what happens next episode with regarding this family. See, I thought this was a you know good episode. Interesting to see what happens like the rest of the season. With like this these curses with like the all stuff going on with Shiranui and Yuriko. But yeah, I thought this was a good episode. Looking forward to the next one. Black Torch, episode 8. So in this episode, so the hooded man that Reiji's fighting is revealed to be his twin brother Shinji. So it's real. So Shinji's soul is sold to the Mononoke, and like so he's choosing Mononoke over humanity. And yeah, after the duel, Shinji leaves saying, next time they fight, let's make it a duel to the death. And you have you know, Nero and Rahu are ambushed by Tenki, and you have Jiro and Rago are confronted by they're approached by Amagi, who then captures them. So yeah, then so they're captured. Basically, there's like something that looks like it happened, like regarding like Raga's concern if happens if Jiro uses too much of his out like of his power. Like it was like there's some issues with that, and yeah, so it's gonna be interesting to see how the rest of this season goes. And so, yeah, so I thought it was a good episode. You know, Ra, you know, Rago seems to have a plan in regards to why he surrendered to Amagi. You know, was like something's going on regarding between him and Jiro. See how that goes. But yeah, so I thought this was a good episode. Looking forward to the next one. recommendations from Mr. Iwamoto, episode 8. So in this episode, um, so um, yeah, then you have there's like this box man that appears. Um, so you see some of the students, they're hanging out at the hot springs. Iwamo like basically joins them, whatever. So you have so they invest. So Iwamo has to investigate the box man, and you have there's stuff brought up about like how like the military sees him as asset, like the the supernatural like soldiers as like um just military assets, not necessarily as like people, whatever. And so they deal with the investigation, and yeah, see they will deal with the box man that well like so basically then they're able to like figure out the thing with the box man and how it works. But yeah, so I thought it was a good episode. Interesting how they dealt and how they dealt with the mystery. Honestly, so you have stuff regarding Iwamoto's the pull between how he like has sympathy for the soldiers under his command, but you also have like his orders from like his superiors. It's gonna be interesting how that further develops. But yeah, I thought it was a good episode. Looking forward to the next one. Bleach Thousand Year Blood War, episode 45. So in this episode, you have Chad uh and Ganju are fighting. Like they're fighting this the little like golem whatever, and so then Renji and Rukia arrive, and they you know Renji says Renji like helps Rukia get past so that she can reach Ichigo while he says he'll deal with the golem. So then you see Ichigo fighting Ewok. Um, and it's insane, like all this freaking power, like so you see all the power go, like it is insane. Of course, also have Uryu and Hoshwall's battle going on, so now Uryu and Hoshwall's their battle like kind of seemingly comes to an end. So like Uryu's able to outsmart him using technique, the Sandray glove technique he used against Maori in order to defeat Hoshwalch. So it seems that he's like he might like seemingly sacrifice it. Now people who've read the manga know that's not the case. He's not dead. And so Orihime keeps using reject. So against Ewok, Orihime keeps using reject like her rejection stuff to heal Ichigo when and Rukia arrives to help. Now and Ewok like brutally like has like his attacks like stab Orihime, like she's bleeding out. I mean, Ichigo's bleeding out too. Rukia arrives, she uses her Bankai to help, and then Ichigo gets in his so Ichigo gets in his Bankai, which makes him look like a like a demon, whatever. Like it's so you have both Rukia and Ichigo and their Bankais fighting, and Ewok is still like overpowering them. And like the visuals for the freaking so like when Ichigo activates his Bankai, like you see like Byakuya and Toshiro sensing it, like dude, like it is insane power level. And so basically at the end of the episode, like Orihime, who's like basically bleeding out, basically does something where she like basically rejects Ewok's existence, and that so basically like the amount of power she had to use like it to use like she's still Like she basically rejects Ewok's entire existence, so both her and Ewok like disappear. And you see like this there's like nothing there, like they disappear and like it's like there's flowers there. So she says some final words to Ichigo before like seemingly she's dead. So yeah, that's like saying stuff. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. So yeah, so I thought this was a really good episode. Like, dude, like the visuals for the fight for between like Ichigo and Ewok, like that is some of the best animation I have seen in a while. Like just in general, like the visuals for that fight, like just insane. This was a great episode. Orihime, all she did a lot. She's seemingly dead now. However, whatever all happens with that, you know, basically, so and then um, so and then basically, like, so there's like stuff that's you know, it's interesting to see what happens. So like, we'll see what happens, like, because there's like something about, I guess there's like a prophetic dream that Ewok had now, where it's like a possible future thing where I and so yeah, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, this was a pretty good episode. Like I thought it was really good. But yeah, be interesting to see what all you know but like happens the rest, like because there's like I think like 5 episodes left of the season, and based on the whole show. So we'll see how the rest of it deals with the rest of the fight and then the aftermath. So obviously they're doing stuff that Tyke Kubo wasn't able to do when he did the manga due to like health reasons and all that. So it's interesting how they do this. But yeah, I thought it was a really good episode. Looking forward to the next episode. Mutiny. So this is a new Jason Statham movie that released. Basically like every other Jason Statham movie. This is him like basically like some bad stuff happened. He has to go kill people. That's literally every Jason Statham movie basically. So yeah, so in this he plays Cole Reed, who's a former police officer, basically left due to like pissing the wrong people off. So the exact circumstances, which are revealed later when some military people look at his file, is that he was a cop in London. He was a foreign military, disobeyed orders, and his father, who was also a cop, went into like situation to save him because Colby got trapped after he didn't follow orders. Basically, his father got killed, and all the circumstances, where I guess some people are seeking payback against him. Reed ended up leaving, like leaving London, whatever. So he became like a bodyguard for you know Tibu Kampala, basically who runs like I guess a shipping company, very successful. And Tibu's planning to sell like his company. Basically, his son Cameron, he's like Tibu says, basically the company's not really caring. He wants Cameron to be free from all the stuff with the company and be able to do his own thing. And yeah, and so after the whole celebration of the sale, whereas even the cake that is made to look like a cargo ship, basically, Tibu gives Cameron a like expensive watch as like a gift for his efforts in helping with the sale, and to Reed for his years of service. So basically, Tibu like Reed is like actual friends with like Tibu and Cameron. Now, while Reed's driving Tibu back, they're ambushed. by these thugs, and it was like cops were helping the thugs, and Timu's killed, and Reed is framed for the murder, so he goes on the run. He's able to find a password when he attackers, and learns that the ship, that the attackers were going through or coming in on was a cargo ship called the KMG, Artemis. So he sneaks on there, and so you have Angie Ellis is like who's about to leave is and stays like the third mate for the ship, and so she's basically told she has to get on there. It's like a last minute. So and this is around when Reed infiltrates the ship. So by impersonating one of the impersonating the thug whose passport he took. So basically there's news channels are saying that Reed killed Tibu, even has his picture out there. So I would say most of the movie takes place on this ship. So Marco Madsen's the captain, and when Reed gets on ship, he finds there's basically some people inside in the cargo like boxes, like containers that like basically there's human trafficking going on. So like basically the cargo company is really being used as a front for human trafficking. And Reed sees him, tells him he's gonna get some water, food, medical supplies from him, and then Angie, having heard like someone going down there, she finds the people and lets him free. But then some of the other crew members come down. They say they're dealing, and Angie tries to talk to Madsen about it, and then she learns that the whole crew's in on it. And Reed like kills one of the crew members that are attacking the all these hostages. So, and he and Angie try to they meet up and they try to get the hostages freed, but then the hostages are captured again, with one of them being killed. And so they try to fight off Reed and Angie. They try to fight off all of Marco and his men. And so and Angie had sent a distress call to like the Navy, about it. The Navy, you know, Marco has the distress call shut off, but when the Navy asks, when they call and ask the service agent behind Marco's answers make him suspicious. So the basically the commanding officer of the ship asks for like intel about Marco and basically all the crew, whatever. And then once the Navy hears like a gunfight between Reed and one of the crew members, like when Andy's trying to call again, say the ship's under attack, um, warn tries to tell Navy that there's human trafficking aboard. Yeah, so the Navy's like, all right, we gotta send a team down there now. So and then so more men arrive. Basically, they're there to buy the hostages. Then Reed kills all of Marco's men. Then kills and then kills all those like I guess the customers, whatever. Then gets to a fight with Marco, and the fight ends with Reed killing Marco with the harpoon gun. Shoots him in the head with the harpoon gun. Then the military arrives. Reed's arrested, but Angie says that Reed died, and that's actually that what who there is actually a crew member that was not involved that was helping out free the hostages. They're like, so the soldier who like was like, okay. Now the Navy was so when they saw Reed's file, they were like basically the CEO was like, yeah, I don't believe Reed killed Timu, or and that he's probably there to seek vengeance. He ain't. So basically, it's like he like they suspect that Reed is not the one involved in human trafficking or the one who killed Timu. So they kind of like the way they were, and so when the soldier calls this like commanding officer and tells him explain exactly what happened, like that you could tell they know that that guy was Reed. That you know they're like Hey, he's not a hostile. He's not our problem. Like you could tell, you could. They suspect that that's actually Reed. There's like, we're not gonna deal with it. So Reed confronts Cameron after Tibu's funeral, and Cameron says basically the sale was supposed to get him out of the human trafficking. Like he was just paid to ship stuff, and like he claims that basically he was manipulated by the human traffickers. Like he didn't know that like that they would kill Tibu for him trying to get out. And basically, what the so Daenerys, who Reed was suspicious of at the the whole ceremony, is revealed to be the one who was in charge of like who ordered the ambush on Tibu and Reed. And so basically yeah, and Cameron basically he didn't want like ain't he wanted to get out of that whole business. And so Reed tells Cameron that his carelessness, how he handled his business, whoever got Tibu killed, and he'll live with that for the rest of his life. So Reed does not kill Cameron. He then goes to find Daenerys. He gets a car and he intentionally rams his car into Daenerys's car, shoots the driver, and then you know interrogates Daenerys. Daenerys says that reason T was killed because that would cause the sale default like to fail, and then the company would go to Cameron, and so like they can manipulate the Dills can manipulate Cameron in order to keep the human trafficking business going on. He asks Reed what he wants. Basically, he wants to bribe him. Reed then kills him, and he says he wants vengeance. So Reed, yeah, and that's it. So yeah, I thought this was actually a pretty good movie. This has mixed reviews from critics, I guess, because Jason Statham does very similar movies a lot, very similar characters. But I thought this was pretty good. Basically, Reed's motivations and some of his past. If they decide to make like a sequel, whatever, they do have a template for it, like because you have maybe the organization doing human trafficking is bigger than just Daenerys, and that there's more going on. So they could actually expand it, have them going after more people from whatever organizations involved the trafficking, and you have his past in London that could play a role if they do a future sequel. I don't know if that'll happen. Now it probably depends on how much money this makes, which 40. It's like the budget's like 40 million. So far, it's made like around 3 million in box office. So I don't really know if I would say this will make profit. If but I thought this was actually really good. I would say like an 8 out of 10. You know, like I would say I really enjoyed this. And that's it. Did y'all like the stuff I reviewed? And if you have your own opinions about all that, you can put all that in the comments. Thank you for watching, and like, subscribe, and all that. And look forward to the next video.